Hello, 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 and welcome to another free support Friday with none other than your host, Fusion Phil, over here at JitCAD Cam. I can see you guys out there. Great to have you guys here. It is the first free support Friday of this year, which means it's only going to be nothing but an adventure, which is exactly what your boy over here, Fusion Phil, has been on for the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to give this a couple of minutes for you guys to jump in. Fish out there in chat, great to see you, Fish. We're going to give you guys a few moments. And now, full disclosure for anybody out there, if you guys have questions at any time, throw them in chat. I also want to let you guys know is I have nothing scheduled for this. For the last week, I've had nothing but great luck where I had a clogged sewer line that I finally got broke loose this morning in my house. So I didn't prepare anything, but this is open to you guys. As always, I wanted to make sure that we made ourselves available so that you guys can ask questions. You can bring up things that you're having problems with, and we will happily jump in and do our best to get you on your way. So I am going to kick this off with the ceremonial drink of choice this week. Now, normally it's an energy drink, but we are dealing with the black coffee because once again, I failed to get to town to get me an energy drink. Now I see, there we go. We got our stats coming through. Great to have you guys. I see 8 of you guys out there, and with the exception of Fish, nobody is asking any questions yet. But this would be a good time for me to tell you, we are officially booked and ready to go with another free Fusion boot camp for you guys down in the Southeast area, Florida, Georgia area. We're going to be hosting a free support Friday coming up here in February at the HFO Trident inside of the Tampa area. So I just want to make that clear to you guys. Feel free at any time. You can go to our website. I put a link down in this video as well for you guys to get signed up for that if you're in that area. Now, I do have to say that is not going to be an online course. That is an in-person course in the Tampa area. I did think to myself, Fish, I think it's just you and me, man. It doesn't seem like anybody else wants to say anything. We'll give you guys a few moments, but Fish, I'm gonna start a new segment. I think we're gonna start a new segment on these Friday series where we're gonna have the Facebook post of the week. I can't delete file folders. That's a good one. You can, Fish, and I'll show you how. So I'm gonna start a new segment while we wait for more questions, more people to jump in here. And what I'm gonna call this is the Facebook post of the week. Now, some of you guys may know out there, I come off a little abrasive from time to time. This is not to make fun of anybody. This is to educate people. You want me to make fun of your setups, as somebody has already requested, I'm waiting on a file for the record, I'm happy to roast your guys' setups with your consent. So looking at that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. Now, this was a post in one of the Fusion Facebook groups. And again, the idea here is to educate for most of you. Now, the gist of this is somebody wanted some contract programming and they got a quote for it saying it's going to take about 4 to 5 hours at $150 an hour. Now, the consensus of that post, and I agree, $150 an hour contract programming is a pretty fair price. It's not exceptionally high and it's not exceptionally low. Let's get that off the table. $150 an hour for somebody educated. I want to put this out there. If it took that person an hour, or it took somebody 2 hours at $75 an hour, or 3 hours at $50 an hour, that as a whole is a fair price. So that going to be said, I want to say that when we do contract programming, and we do contract programming in-house, we also partner with Chris over at the Cam Factory for contract programming. The problem is, you guys see me, I'm an expert. I can program a lot of parts in 15 minutes. It's not the programming of the part that's the problem. It's when you get in these scenarios, what takes up a majority of the time is things like, hey, pick whatever tools you want, we'll order them. I pick the tools that I like, they don't order them, they run the wrong tool, the tool breaks because the speeds and feeds were wrong. This is a big one, guys. Another couple things there is some people aren't comfortable with the way I may or may not program a part. Billy, great to see you out there. Awesome. Happy New Year's. Again, guys, we are doing a new session now for a lot of you joining. We're calling this the Facebook post of the week. This is to educate. But again, This is what happens when you first do contract programming. Now, I will tell you guys, the first time we contract program with a customer, there's a lot of time spent in video calls and on the phone, more than there really is in the software. Again, this is all because, where's the work offset, speeds and feeds. We don't like to use adaptive. We like pocket clearing, as somebody pointed out. So keep this in mind. If you're looking for a contract programmer, the price the first time round might be a little high because you're starting a relationship. Now, if you guys are out there wondering why you can get $150 an hour for contract programming, let me just put this to you. You have to build a reputation. You got to be good in the game, things like that. So that's it. That's the Facebook post of the week. Again, new tradition starting this year. This is to educate, not insult. So I see CAD user 99 out there. Is it recommended to run more than one instance of Fusion? Well, CAD user, you can start to, let me just back up here real quick. There's a couple of ways to do this where it does work. Number one, running 2 seats of Fusion open on the same computer. I'm going to back that up one more time. Opening Fusion and running it twice at the same time on the same computer is not a good idea in any way. You don't gain anything. Let me just put that out there, that if I went down here right now and tried to open Fusion again, it's going to ask me if I want to launch another instance. And again, you can do it. And the reason why I say it's not recommended is because you are running 2 applications. So you're doubling down on all of your software and performance. Now, the nice thing about this is if I wanted to go ahead, and I don't have 2 monitors pulled up right now, guys, so let me just do it this way. As you can see, I now have 2 Fusion 360s running. Again, this just makes for a fun time if you wanted to have drawings open on one side and then something else on the other side, right? So let's say I'm going to open the UMC 500 here. Now, again, I'm just putting this out there because if we had a drawing, we could have a drawing here, or if you have 2 monitors, I can understand the value here. The real problem is going to come down to the fact is if we look at my task manager, we're only running 2 complete instances of Fusion. So for you guys out there probably wondering right now, we are slammed with the fact that I'm doubling down trying to run 2 completely different instances of Fusion. Now, what I would recommend, and this is going to be a little bit of an advanced move for some of you, let me get this closed out here real quick, is instead of running 2 programs on the same computer, you could do something like desktop connector. And as you guys can see, I actually have a desktop connector. I use Google. Now, you would need 2 licenses of Fusion to successfully do this, but as you guys are seeing right now, I am remotely connecting to a second computer, and then I could run Fusion there as well as it is here. Again, the nice thing about this is you could run it on 2 separate monitors, or if you're somebody that's really advanced and savvy, you could run what's called a KVM switch to jump between the 2. Now, this is the way I recommend it. This is also the recommendation from yours truly. If you have a Windows 10 computer that can't be updated, you still need a Windows 11 capable machine, but this way I could use a laptop or a tablet that's even a Chromebook to connect back to my more powerful desktop that might be in the front office, things of that nature. So again, just a little bit of wise to you guys. Ed, Happy New Year. Bogdan, you can't see anything. I'm so glad that somebody pointed that out a while ago. You guys want me to run back through it as I was talking? I can. So I'm going to start off with the desktop connector. Again, guys, I use Chrome desktop connector. I like it. It works really, really good for my application. Again, what you're seeing right now is my second computer that I have set up. Again, that is a workhorse versus the laptop that I normally work on, and I can connect to this thing anywhere and everywhere. So you would need 2 licenses of Fusion to do this because you are on 2 separate computers at the end of the day. Ogden, thanks for pointing that out. Billy, Happy New Year's. Ed, Happy New Year's once again. Again, I'm going to leave this open for you guys. I don't have much going on my end. Let me go ahead and get my ticket system pulled up because I don't know if Mike is out there. Mike was messaging in wondering about roasting his setup. But Mike, if you're out there, feel free to send us the file. But back to it, guys. Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Anything that you would like to see? We are here for you. That's right. I forgot. Fish, you want to know about deleting folders. So if I create a brand new folder, as you guys are going to see, that is now the folder that we want to delete. If I right click, there's what's called move to trash. So Fish, if you don't have the move to trash button, I would tell you we need to open this on the online viewer. Give me a sec here, guys. I just saw somebody pop in with a question. Is now you could see I'm on the online viewer, and this is where we could go in, find that folder that we wanted to delete, and then we could trash it here as well. So again, you're going to see me move it to trash. Now, if you're the admin of your team, guys, you have access to the trash at any time. And this is where you could go back and recover bad choices that you made along the way, like yours truly. So as you guys can see, I could go in at any time and I could retrieve deleted files. Let me get back over to good old-fashioned OBS and see what questions we have. Toolpath containment. Well, CAD user, I do have content on that. And Fish with another question about the title block on drawings. Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump back here real quick. So first and foremost, toolpath containment. We did do several videos on this. Again, guys, give me one sec here. I'm going to pull up the old YouTube channel. And if you're asking questions in chat, because I know you guys are starting to get a little more lively, we appreciate it. Let me get to my channel, of course. And we're going to go ahead and move this over here. So as you guys can see, I know a lot of people are curious. One, we did start our courses up, and we are going to continue these starting next Monday. Now, the first one I would tell you out of this list is if you're looking for a little bit more information, it's going to be based on the geometry tab video, mastering the geometry tab. But then from that, we do have other videos, and this is for your guys' reference. If you go ahead and search, if you say containment, I could spell correctly today. It might also be under boundary selection. So again, we could say boundary, and I can't spell. I know it's in here. We're going to find it. I do have a video on it for whoever was referencing it. I'm going to try to grab that video and throw it in chat for you guys. Got to remember what it was called. And been a while. Maybe we have to recreate it. Let me go ahead and get OBS pulled back up so I can see you guys in chat. Where is it here? Boundary and chain selection. See, I knew I had a video on this. Let me grab this for you guys. See, I can't spell. Boundaries. Boundaries, not boundary. Boundaries. Go ahead and get back over here. Happy New Year, Jeff. By the way, guys, Jeff down there, reason why he's showing up all fancy is because we were asked to create memberships to this channel. We didn't want to make it anything outrageous. So for $5 a month, you guys can, of course, sign up for a membership. We also like the likes, subscribes, beers, lobsters, and everything else that you guys help with. So let's see here. Fish, reducing the size of the title block. Let's go ahead and jump on that real quick. Awesome. Terrell out there says he's using a KVM to use his desktop while in the shop, an extended 4K monitor and mouse. Okay. So, Terrell, I have multiple of those in my house too. Basically, what's happening is he's using little dongles you can get from Amazon to run your keyboard inputs and your display from a remote location. Now, Terrell, my only opinion about what you're doing is you have to hardwire the system versus using a tablet and a desktop connector. That's my old thing. Run it over Wi-Fi, make your life a little bit more easy, right? So let's go ahead and look at a drawing and let's see what we can come up with our title block changes. So as you guys are going to see, we're going to go ahead and put this on none other than inch setup. There we go. Yep. The nice thing also, Terrell, again, this is just me. Let me back up. The bad news is when you're doing remote desktop connections is the fact that if you're posting programs to a thumb drive, that thumb drive is on the computer in your office, right? I just want to make that clear to you. Now, this is why we would say network your machine, or you could do a share folder from your desktop over to your actual laptop. And again, that's something I have done here at the end of the day. If you guys wanted to see this, is if we go into my network, I have my desktop right here. And this way I can connect over to the desktop file suppository, and then I could copy that here to my laptop if I had to move that file across the way. Again, if it was me, guys, I would just network my machine. It'd be 1,000 times easier. So, title block. As you guys can see, we're sitting here looking at a normal setup. Now, as you guys are going to see, is we can't go through. We could change the things in our title block. But if you're looking to make your title block smaller at the end of the day, what you really need to do is create your own drawing template. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say new drawing template. As you can see, we can define our sheet size, whatever size that's going to be. Again, let's get to the American sizing. And with that, this is where you have full range over converting your title block, changing the size of your title block, anything and everything that you're going to need for your actual setup. So again, we could do from existing, or you could go in and go from scratch, or you can import one, all 100% on you. As you guys can see, I'm now in the test area to create a title block. Let's say I want to make a box like so, box like so. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds on this, guys. One of these days we'll make some videos on this, but you could go through, add your text. Again, these can be based on parameters if you wanted to call parameters or standard tolerance. Plus or minus 3, right? And as you can see, I now have my own title block to be able to utilize. So again, based on that information, my title block is massive because I drew it too big. Had I drawn it smaller, it would have, of course, made much more sense. So again, maybe I go back. I'm going to go ahead and undo this. We should be able to back out of this. What I really need is these lines to be much smaller. Again, let's go ahead and delete those two. Maybe we just do a rectangle. And what you guys are seeing is this is my sheet size in the background. So something like that. Do this one a little quicker because, again, we all know how much I love rectangles. There you go. And now you can see I have a much smaller customized title block. So, Fish, let me know. Does that help you out? Again, we're up to 20 people. Guys, we figured it out. The record last year for live attendance is 38 live consecutive users. So, pretty pumped about that. With that, any questions? Guys, I told you I didn't prepare anything. Now, I'm happy to abuse you guys and make you sit through some painful stuff. When are you getting to town? Jeff, are you in Florida? Happy New Year, Mike. Mike, you made it. Mike, are you going to send me files? Oh, that's right, Jeff. I forgot about that. I don't know if I'm going to make SHOT Show. It's still on the table at the moment. Now, Jeff, if you want me to come do a couple of days of training, I'm not opposed to you, cutting me my favorite thing, which is 2 blank checks. Second favorite to Bush Lights, of course. It's still up in the air, Jeff. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go to Vegas or not this year for SHOT Show, you guys. If you guys didn't know, SHOT Show is in 2 weeks? You can send Mike if you are doing so real quick, Mike, and for anybody else out there, if you guys want to send us a file, there's 2 ways to do this. Is one, you can go file and you can export. Now, this is going to be an Autodesk archive file, and then send us that file via the support email down below. Or you can do what's called a share file link, and then make sure you turn it on so that it can be downloaded. As you can see, I have download turned on, and then you can copy this link. And I think, let me know, guys, can you put links in chat? Fish out there, great question. If you have a machine with a 17 tool mag, but your tool library says 50 tools, can you renumber tools but keep the H value of said tool? We're going to go ahead and take a look at that here in a minute. So, Terrell, I feel like I get this question so much. I got to say, this is probably the #1 question about ITAR compliancy. I have not heard anything, and full disclaimer, guys, don't make any financial decisions off what I tell you. I have not heard anything about ITAR compliancy. I don't know when it's going to be. Do I think there will be an ITAR compliancy? Yes, I think there will be eventually an ITAR add-on. And now I say add-on because I think it's going to be like an extension. If I had to put my 2 cents in, again, I have no idea. I don't. I do know Amazon servers is what Autodesk uses, and there is a associated charge to be ITAR only servers. I don't know. I don't know. But that's why I would say is, at the end of the day, ITAR Fusion is probably around the corner, but expect an associated charge due to the data storage cost. Yeah, that's right, Jeff. You were going to buy me dinner while I was in town. I forgot about that. I don't know. It's Jeff. Let me put it to you this way. I have a plane voucher that I could make it to Vegas, and I have somebody that's got room and board as well as access to the show, and I'm really debating on going, but man, I do not know off the top of my head if I'm going to make it. So let's get back over here. I know we were talking a little bit. As you can see, MFish has a 17 tool mag, but your tool library says 50 tools. Can we reorder just the tool number and not the length values? Let's take a look. Fish, are you talking about a mill or a lathe? Because this could make a difference. But let's just go to my TL1 where I have some, actually, we'll go to the VF2. I got some throwaway tools here. Now, if you guys didn't know, you can renumber your tools at any time. Now, this is going to answer your question right off the rip. Do I want to update the length offset or update compensation offset, or do I just want to update the diameter offset? So again, as you're seeing here, this would answer that question. So I don't want to mess with diameter or compensation. And as you're going to see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But if we look at my diameter offset and my length offset, that would be the one that's updated. So yes, at the end of the day, we can update one without the other. Now, there is a difference because you have the number of the tool, you have the diameter, and then you have the length. So we got to make sure that you're updating the right things. I would assume that we need to update the length offset without possibly messing with the diameter offset. So again, we could renumber those. I'm not going to renumber mine because it just gets messy at that point. And what we're looking at, if you guys are wondering, is that is the fast way to do it at the post processor. So you have tool number, length, diameter, things like that. Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to the support side portal because I think Mike is going to send us something. I don't see it yet, so we're going to give this a few minutes. How's everybody else's week been? I'm telling you guys, I've just had a wild week on my end. Fish, okay, I see what you want to do. So yeah, at the end of the day, let's go ahead and go back. Again, we're going to look at, why not? Let's butcher some tools today. We can always renumber it, right? The sacrifices I make for the show, guys. So we're going to start from increment 50. Now, again, maybe we don't want to update certain things. Now, this is going to be the problem is because this is going to force the tool number to update. And that's where you're going to have that problem is we can't stay at 1 and then go 1 through 7 while doing the others at 50 through whatever. Now, this would be my take on this. Fish, this is a little ugly, but it would work, is you could go through and you could say, you know what, I do want to update everything by 50, right? Renumber. Then do it a second time where I could go back now and start with 1 again, and then leave length and diameter off. And just like that, if we look at our chart, you'll now see I'm 1 through 7 while I'm 50 through 56, 50 through 56. So again, not the cleanest way to do it at the end of the day, but it is a way to do it, if that makes sense. Let me know, Fish, does that answer your question? Does anybody else have any questions? Again, I'm going to go ahead and check our support. Make sure you guys aren't putting any tickets. I don't see anything. I am, however, super pumped right now to be going to Florida in a month and a half to do, yet again, what you guys know we do best is free Fusion boot camps for each and every one of you guys. Now, if you guys want us to do a boot camp in your area, I gotta put this out there. If you guys want us to do a free Fusion boot camp in your area, you got to get us in contact with your machine dealers. Now, the reason why I say you guys have to is because if you buy a new machine from the dealer, they're more likely to listen to you about saying, hey, you should have Fusion Phil come out here and give a free class for everybody. That's all. Hanging out. Any other questions? Now, Fish, I would have to ask you the question real quick. Is on your machine, I know you have 17 tool pockets, right? I'm going to pause here real quick because he's got another. Depending on your machine, Fish, you can change the controller to allow you to put tool 50 in pocket 17 and so on. Hey, Elijah made it. Elijah's always got good questions to be asked. So you have a tool library of 50 tools, but I never know what tool I will run in said program. How can I set up my tool library so that I can use any tool and then only things that I need? So first and foremost, this is something I would show you guys is if you're setting up a tool library, a couple of ways I would recommend doing this. In this use case on my VF2, for example, I know we've butchered this at this point, guys, but this would be the tools I would have in my machine. Now, personally, my face mill might be in my second to last pocket. So what you guys are going to see me do is I'm going to put this in pocket 20. Let's just say my VF2 has 21 pockets, meaning my probe is probably going to go in pocket 21. Now, this is a generic way to do something like this, and it works quite well. And again, on a Haas machine, you can have up to 200 tool offsets. You just got to make sure that the tool table reflects which one is in what pocket, right? So this is something that I would call more of like standardized tooling on the machine, right? I never take the probe out. I never take the face mill out. There might be a handful of tools you also always keep in your machine. That would be the way that I would define for somebody to set up their library. Now, from that, you could have a shop crib. Now, a shop crib is 100% here at your disposal to grab on the fly, right? So what I wouldn't recommend if you're doing this is having tool numbers associated to things in your shop crib. Now, this does lead me to a point where I'm curious. Can we start with number 0 and increment by 0? You can. This is awesome. So what I just did there is I cleared out my tool numbers, right? So if I need to pull a tool from my shop crib or my catalog, so to say, there's no tool number associated to it. So if we get over here and let's do my favorite thing, let's just create a quick part to put a toolpath on. Now, from that, we do our setup. We're going to go ahead and do milling, of course. And let's say we're going to do a 2D contour around this part. When I pick my tool in that shop crib or mill library, you're going to see upon selection, it is automatically going to give it tool number 1, right? The neat thing about this is in the event that we already defined other tools here, let's go ahead and delete this toolpath. And I got to wipe the library here. As you guys are seeing is we're looking at this file, and I'm going to delete this tool out of here. There we go. Now, let's say new example. I go in 2D contour. I pick my tool. Again, I'm going off of the machine this time. That's why I have a machine versus like a catalog to pull from. As you're going to see, even though this 1/2 inch is tool 4, if I come back and pull a non-machine tool, so again, we go back in here one more time. I go to my catalog. Let's say we're going to go now for a 2-inch face mill. What's going to happen is it's automatically going to put that back to whatever open pocket is in the machine. This is why I say is like on most machines, what you tend to do, and this is my preference, in the higher pocket numbers are my standardized tools. 3/8 spot drill. Somebody else out here said something about H50 always being a 1/4 inch spot. Yes. Spot drills, standard end mills, they all sit in the higher number of my tool range. Again, they don't need to be tool 100 in pocket 20, but that means if I'm operating that machine, I might not know what's in pocket 1 through 10 because those are what I would say is my disposables or my hot swappables, right? Now, let's say you run this at the end of the day. You could always come back into your file and copy any tools that you had in that 1 through 10. This is just a scenario. And we could post them back into the VF1 folder so that next time round, I now know the 2-inch and where it lies, right? So I may now go down here to tool 20, delete this one. And this is just an example. This is a lot of extra steps. This is why I would tell you guys is if you have, 21 pockets, set up everything above 10 as your standard tooling. Everything below 10 is no longer standard, which means pocket 1 through 10 is always open, right? Just makes life a little bit easier. Another trick I'll show you here. Again, some people don't realize this. If you're hammering away on parts, and what you guys are seeing me do is I'm going to just draw another part here real quick. And I'm jumping from file to file because I've taken on a bunch of contract programming for $150 an hour. Is if you still have a file open, so again, this first file is still open, I'm moving on to my next task of the day, is once I start toolpathing this, the same kind of rules apply. Is if I go in and say I want to face this part off, if I select a tool right now, it's only showing me the file I'm in. But the cool thing is I could go back to the other file here and pick that face mill once again, right? So right now, these are running on my VF2. I'm just trying to get ahead programming that machine. I'm pulling tools across setups or completely different files, making my life much easier. This is a trick that I use. Now, let's say you run 35 parts and tool 7 was probably used on the second part. Who knows what tool 7 is at this point, right? We could always just pull it out of the machine and get it swapped out. Mike Godfrey, finally got it figured out. JC, great to see you. Happy New Year's as well. Yep, Ed, 100%, man. I had no idea we could reorder it with all zeros. That was something new I learned today myself as well. The all zeros move keeps you from causing your own demise later. So let me get back over to the support portal real quick. I am going to show you guys. Let me do this here real fast. Put you back on my beautiful face. By the way, guys, if you like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. We are killing it when it matters about getting up over 300 now. I think I'm seeing 2 tickets. Nope, that one doesn't matter. We're going to go back here. Here we go. I'm going to get Mike's file downloaded. Give me 1 sec, and then I'm going to get it uploaded. Again, anybody that is joining us, feel free to ask questions at any time. We were here for you guys. I'm realizing my folder organization is off too. I should go back and share my screen so you guys can see this. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. I even made the mistake already. Episode 25 or 51 can't go in 2025. We gotta, look at this. 2026. And then we gotta move our folder. And as you guys can see, I can't move this folder, right? But we can if we go to the online viewer. Again, let's get this all loaded up here real quick. You guys can see I'm now in the online viewer. I scroll down to number 50, not click on 50. All the way down to 51. We're going to do a move. And we're going to get that positioned over into the 2026 folder. So again, here we go. And just like that, we should be good to go. So let's refresh. 51 is gone. 2026, there's 51. Let's go. Let's get this file uploaded now. On setup sheets. Oh man, why do we got to get setup sheets? Where can the operator see the WCS origin when you print it out? So give me one sec here. We're going to go ahead and get this file opened up real quick. Now, for the record, guys, Mike out there is requesting to be roasted. Don't take this as offense. As he has said, I do need to pull up the support ticket. First attempt with Cam. Well, Mike, that's good, man. I'm glad to see that your first attempt with Cam. Now, I do want to ask this question, but I also don't want to ask this question. Mike, did you watch my videos before you did this? Because if we get in here and there's a bunch of messes here and you watched my videos, we got other problems. So, as you can see, he's got setup one over here. It does look like he is doing things right off the rip. This is what I like. He is utilizing quite a strange WCS location, but we could talk about that more in a moment. Now, yes, as much as possible. Okay, so you watched a bunch of my videos. So, Mike, there's a couple of questions. One, right off the start, you're trying to run two parts from one work offset. And I'm going to look at this a couple of ways, but just know I don't know what your plan was with that WCS. If you're going to do this, guys, what I highly recommend is milling a feature in the center jaw that you can probe off of or use as your WCS origin. Again, the idea would be is to put this between these two. And for you guys that don't know, this is a double action vise. So both outer vices move in and move out. Or in this case, this might actually just be a fixed station with your inners and outers, and then he's using like mighty bites to hold down. WCS is on your machine. Okay, cool. So again, he's using bodies here. Nothing against him. Not a big fan of the body selection. As you can see, he has components to his advantage. So why he wouldn't just select component and component versus bodies, not a big deal. Not a huge deal. We'll find out later if this bit him. Let me go ahead and cancel this before we get on to our next thing. WCS, he's using bodies. That's my only complaint. The vise is also in bodies. That would be a complaint. Now, stock size from solids, still bodies. Again, components would be the way to go. Everything checks out in his setup. So let's go ahead and let's simulate this. Let's see what we have going on. So we got our facing on block 1. Then we jump over and face block 2. That looks good. Outside profile, pretty simple tool path here. So he's making his finishing pass now. So he did do adaptive around the outside, and then he's doing a finish pass. And then it looks like he's chamfering his upper edges. So everything in your first setup, in my opinion, Mike, it looks good. I don't see a big problem here. Everything checks out. I think the only recommendation I would make, and I think a lot of people miss out on this is why you guys got to subscribe to our channel. Because if you pay attention to our Milling Monday courses, we'll talk about, instead of wasting time with an adaptive, as you guys saw around this part, if I turn on stock, and now this is, again, as you guys can see, it's trying to grab a box around everything. I would need to pull, let's see what he has. Challenge, Jaws, where are you hiding your stock? That is the true question here. Change device group. Let's do this. Hold on here real quick. Might be easier to use. Show all components, show all bodies. There we go. Where is your stock hiding? Or are you using a sketch? Oh, you have a solid in there. In 1 sec, guys. We're going to go show all. Is that supposed to be your stock there? Because your part is sitting above your stock. Or am I crazy? Could be crazy. Okay, here's your models. In the models. Yep. Okay. So I assume this is supposed to be your stock, right? Which this is going to be kind of why your stock is smaller than your part is a little goofy. But let's go back to manufacturer and take a look here. Because this stock looks correct here. So that's what is making me wonder. We'll track it down. We'll find it, guys. Oh, you got it. Okay, I see. I see. Okay. So, cancel. This is why organizing your tree is very, very important at the end of the day. Go. Yeah, okay. So Mike, and for the rest of you guys out there, I knew I was going to get to this point. And I knew it because he's using bodies. Mike has created a setup one stock, and then he's got a rest stock in place here. And there's going to be a problem with this and why it's going to bite him. And I know why it is. Now I'm making an assumption here before we get there. Okay. So what I'm really looking for is if we get the stock turned on, that's our pre-op stock. And then I assume you have one on the other one here. So let's get that other pre-op stock turned on. Okay. So I need these two. And the reason why I need these two is because, again, if we use stock contours, I could pick the upper edge of both these boxes. And what that allows me to do is to actually use something like roughing passes on 2D contour. Now, if you plugged in 20 passes at whatever your step over is going to be, what you're going to notice is it's going to automatically trim that based on the stock box. This is what I was chasing after, right? So this is kind of nice when you think about the fact that, hey, I can, instead of doing adaptive clearing, I could have used roughing passes because I'm not taking a lot of material off the outside of these square parts out of square material, right? Now, I notice you guys probably can't see that. Let me go ahead and get this moved back up to the top for you. So again, instead of adaptive clearing, you could have used 2D contour for finishing, but used roughing passes in 2D contour. That's all I'm pointing out, right? Now, getting into your second setup, this is where you had to generate your own stock, right? And this is where I know where the holes are to the system. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to show you a way to make your life easier on some of this, but I want to run through the rest of your toolpaths because I like your toolpaths. I think your toolpaths are going to be okay. Now, I see you have a pattern for your facing. That's fine. You then are roughing these both out. Again, using a flat toolpath, using another flat toolpath for the inside. That is the two different tools. That's fine. Again, another toolpath. Actually, no. Same tool, two different toolpaths. I don't know why you broke that down into two. Maybe you could have did them both at the same time. Not a big deal. Again, now finishing out the areas inside because there is a dovetail. And lastly, you are now going around the outside to deburr your part. Cool. So the toolpath wise, right off the start, everything looks good, right? Great toolpath, great time through. I think you achieved the task of making the part. Now, recommendations I would make, right? First and foremost, let's go back up here to our first setup. And let's kick this off the way that I think I would have done this. First and foremost, we're not going to use bodies. Bodies are going to get us in trouble. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through his tree here and hopefully find his parts. So we have our box number one here. And then my stock from there is let's go ahead and grab my pre-op stock, right? So as you guys are going to now see, I'm only doing the one part, right? Which means these toolpaths are going to need some adjustments here real quick. Again, give me a quick second here, guys. We're going to go ahead and remove 3D adaptive. Nice. Boom, 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 boom. Again, what I'm going to do is we're just going to delete this because I'm not going to spend a bunch of time trying to troubleshoot it. We are going to remove stock contours. I'll turn it back on here in a minute. Boom. Go top edge, model bottom. Oh, model top minus 145. Okay. So we're back to a couple of toolpaths on here, right? Lastly, we need to delete that. There we go. So now, if you guys notice, I've only programmed one part, right? This is the trick that I would teach somebody, is taking these toolpaths that I want and now doing a pattern, but there is what's called a component pattern. This is why components beat bodies any day of the week. If I go back down to a second part here in this tree, we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get it turned on. I can now say, I don't want automatic pattern because if I pick this part, automatic pattern looks at all four of these versus doing only the target that I select. So now you're seeing we are going to do both these parts. Again, I got to minimize stuff here so that you guys can see this. So now setup requires part one, but the component pattern is handling both actual physical machining capability. So again, because I'm doing this way, this is where the magic happens. Because if I now jump down to your second setup, again, getting rid of bodies, we're going to go back into our component tree. Now, if you modeled these correctly, which you did a copy and paste. You did not do a copy and paste new. So that means bottom box here. And then if we go to our bottom box, this number should be the same. Now, this could be a little tricky here in a second, but what we're going to see is our stock could now be from preceding. And if everything goes right, you'll notice how my stock has automatically generated. I'm not using on my second setup his stock CAD model. Mike, let me know, is this looking pretty good for you? So again, I'm doing this very simplistic, guys. I did not put any of the jigs and fixtures in here yet. We're going to add those back after the fact. But the big change that I am making on his models or his setups is I'm using a component for the model selection. Component. Because if that component matches into setup 2, it allows for my stock to automatically carry through from preceding. Again, pro tip out there, guys, check this box, please. Go ahead and hit the 3 dots, save as user default. Now, Mike, let me ask you real quick. I bet you are kicking yourself a little bit because you probably spent a lot of time developing these stock bodies that you were trying to use that I just overrode the system simply by picking a component versus picking the model, the physical body in the model. So again, we no longer need this pattern that he's got here. Give me one sec here. So let's get our toolpath out of the pattern. Let's delete the pattern. Again, there is our facing procedure. We're going to have to, again, I don't think I'm going to spend a ton of time trying to wrangle this down, but as you guys are seeing, let's just leave that the way it is. Should pick up on only one part. But the same rule applies, right? So again, I'm going to take the toolpaths once they're good known toolpaths, go back to setup. We're going to do a new pattern. And again, this is a component pattern. I can't stress this enough. We're going to turn off automatic. We got our source. We go back over here to his design tree. We're going to go ahead and turn on the second one that we can pick the one to go to. And just like that, again, guys, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to rip these other toolpaths out and minimize everything back up in my tree. So again, setup 1, setup 2. But if I go down to the pattern, as you guys can see, I now have a pattern to do both these parts. This is the magic of everything with components. This is why components are your best friends. If you're going to lay out 30 parts and they're all going to be the same setup, as you can see, the components is the way to go. But let's go back and fix a few things. So now we go back to our setup. We can easily go to our fixture. Again, this is where your organization makes all the difference. As you guys can see, is we're going to go through and try to figure out, there's our vice. So that is going to be our work holding. And just like that, I've now fixed that for our work holding. Again, we have our pattern of 2 items. Now we're not going to see that other part because I have my synchronizations all turned on, which makes it very easy for me to jump from setup to setup. So again, we could fix our second setup here. Going to our fixture. I need to find the fixture for this guy over here, which is the second one here. And just like that, we have both of our items in play. Everything's going to work to our advantage. Now, I'm really going to up the ante here because, Mike, amazing file. You're doing great things. This is a pro tip that I don't show very many people. If you're going to use Vice template files, this will make a big difference in your workflow. So let's say visually, I would like to see both of those parts, right? So I'm going to pick both components. So again, we're going to go in here. I got to try to track it down in this tree under models. And it's this guy here. And there it is. Oh, nope, not that one. It'd be this one, right? Do this the good old fashioned way. This guy and this, right? So what you're seeing now is I have both of my parts in play. However, this is just visually so I can see it when it comes to that component pattern, right? This is complete representation. Now going back to his design, and this is going to be fun. Okay, so you don't have it linked. Beautiful. So this is his vice base. What I would do on a dual action kind of setup is I would create a sketch down here on the bottom. And then this is going to be nothing more than a rectangle. And if you guys can't guess what this rectangle is going to be used for, is this is how I can control all of my tool paths and force them to be on only one side of the vice. This works if you're using 3D, of course. So again, let's go ahead and get that sketch turned on. And we're going to work on the front station. So somebody asked the question earlier about chains and boundaries. Again, he's not doing anything in 3D on this part profile, right? But let's say, for example, he was doing a 3D toolpath. So again, kind of undoing everything that he's done here. 3D adaptive clearing. Going to get that 1/2 inch tool. And now, as you guys can see, I can do a selected boundary, which is this guy down here. And as you're going to see, we're going to have to drag this up for it to take effect. But I'm now using a boundary on my vice station to retain pushing my 3D only to that front station, right? So again, the whole concept of this boundary down here is nothing more than to say only program the front half. Because, again, my component pattern is handling the second part of my vice, right? It's running everything on that back station based on the pattern. So again, I don't need 3D to jump across both parts right now. I only want it to stay on the front. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to pause for a second. I need a drink. But let me know, guys. What do you think? That was probably a lot. That was a lot drinking from a fire hose. Mike, you're new to this. I could tell. This is why we have our top tier support package on sale right now. But that is the tricks, right? So again, the reason why I'm putting this sketch in place, and I would recommend putting it in your template or your vices, is so that I can quickly reference that when it comes to my chaining and my boundary for my 3D toolpaths, right? Because I'm using it as a containment to stay on the front half of my vice. But in my setup, I put both parts in here so that if we were to go in and machine this, again, we could do this. So again, we could say stock is both front and back. So again, we're going to go back in here and we're going to try to find his stock here. So here is the stock for the back. And if we regenerate our stuff, we're going to have to make some changes. Again, as you guys are seeing my facing now, This is why we have that ability to go through, pick our chain for our facing. I'm going to go ahead and cheat the system. And it's also why 3D becomes your best friend, because the containment boundary will force it to stay only on one side, and so forth and so on. Now, if we simulate this, I'm actually curious to see if this is going to work. Will we see machining on the back vise? And look at that. We now have stock in play for both parts so that we could see the stock update in real time and make sure we're not missing anything on one versus the other. Again, in my setup, what I did at the end of the day is I defined both parts as components, and I defined both stocks, but we only toolpath the first position. Let me know, guys. What do you think? Is this the time where I get to get you with this real quick? You learn something new? If you learn something new, do you want to sign up for a monthly membership? Buy me some beers, lobsters, steaks? You tell me, Mike. How much time would you have saved had you just picked a component and had rest machining? That's why we do this, guys. We want to make sure that you all out there have access to somebody that might know just a little bit more than you. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. We're not, never. Get back over here. So, Mike's got me. Mike's going to buy something. Who knows what he's going to buy? Hopefully a top-tier support package more than beers, but you never know. Happy New Year, Stuart. Stuart out there joining us once again. How to get best graphics on toolpath simulation. You have a very powerful PC. Okay, yeah, we can visit that one for sure. Stuart, one thing is you want to use, first and foremost, this only works on milling, is you don't want to do machine simulation all the time. So simulate with machine right now. We don't have a machine in here, but simulate with machine, as far as I know, unless they changed it, is they're not going to have that simulate with GPU button up here at the top. So you want to make sure you turn on simulate faster GPU. This will allow, as you guys are probably going to see out there, I have my comparison cranked all the way up, which means if I hit play, I can rip through this really, really fast at the end of the day. So again, mine is updating almost instantaneous because of things like that, right? Now, if you want to simulate and you're not too concerned about the graphics, this is where you need to turn your accuracy down. And again, even on my PC, you'll notice that everything is kind of updated much faster once I start to turn the accuracy down. Another tip I would give you guys if you are dealing with simulation, one, make sure all of your check boxes, you get this minimized. All these green little check marks are your stock generating as we work through this part. Right now, I don't have mine turned on, but if I hit F8, as you guys can see, as we work through this part, automatically the stock is updating and simulating only the toolpath that you need. You don't need to simulate everything start to finish. I think a lot of people confuse that, right? We don't need to simulate a whole program through yet if I'm just working at getting this part down where it's going. So I don't need to go up to setup and simulate. I could just pick one or two toolpaths and only simulate those two toolpaths, as you guys are seeing me do here. Again, this makes life much easier and much better to be able to quickly get good results at the end of the day. You get blotchy between red and green watercolors. Yep. So a couple of things. I do know what you're talking about now, getting more into that. If we simulate this and go ahead and hit play, we'll get it all the way to the end real quick. What you're referring to is stuff like this, right? So as you guys are seeing is I have some graphical surfaces all over the place, but a few things you can adjust. If you look down here on my leftover stock and my tolerance are both set to 0, I would need to crank my accuracy all the way up and let this regenerate. Again, give her a sec here. And you notice how it's gotten better. Now, if I turn my tolerance up a little bit, again, this is how close the tolerancing of that model is going to get. So as you guys are seeing, I turned it up a little bit. It's gotten a little bit better. If I go a little bit more than that or add just a little bit of leftover stock sometimes will make a pretty dramatic difference on what you're seeing. Now, the blotchiness, this just comes with the territory for you guys. Again, if you're noticing, I get zoomed in here and I'm getting little triangles. That is a mesh in the background that is being generated. So you have kind of a stop sign effect for that kind of part when we talk about the stock. It's not a big thing to worry about. I would tell you, again, I have my accuracy turned up. I could increase my tolerance a little bit more, just like when you're dealing with tolerancing on toolpaths, and you should see some better, cleaner results. Stuart's tried that. Stuart, I would have to take a look at exactly what you're doing. I do know at the end of the day, some people that are doing micro scale machining, this is where you may need to look at something like Complete. There's also some other post-sim softwares that's really, really good on showing the surfaces of simulation. Preferences. There's not really a lot of preferences that I would recommend changing for you guys out there. Now, keep in mind is you do have under your general settings, your graphics driver itself. There is the ability to go down to the bottom where there's compatibility and troubleshooting as well. But at the end of the day, it still goes back to the same kind of system of there's not a lot to tweak here that's going to make a giant difference. There is, for you guys out there wondering, for a while there, by jumping back and forcing DirectX 11 or DirectX 9 was helpful. And if you were on a professional level graphics card, OpenGL was helpful, but not a huge performance difference. This was on older machines, for the record. I haven't seen anything lately where if you're on something newer that it makes a huge difference. Stuart, I need a little bit more information what you mean by all models always there. Again, to anybody out there new, anybody have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm going to open the chat back up to you guys. I am going to go over and check the ticket system. Make sure nobody else sent over any tickets. Give me a sec here. Let's see here. Alrighty. No more new tickets. All models always there. Stuart, what is what you're seeing? I need some more information. Again, we put this on for all of you guys out there. If you guys would like to support our channel at any time, the likes, the subscribes are plenty. We now have $5 memberships monthly. We also have the Buy Me a Beer program. This is for all of you to come out, ask these questions, put things in our court that you want to see or you want to get fixed at the end of the day. Stuart out there with the $1.99. Love to see it. As you guys can see, plenty of love here. I'm going to go ahead and jump over one more time because I don't see a lot of questions coming in, but just a reminder for anybody in the Florida area, we do have a free Fusion Bootcamp that we will be hosting together at the HFO in Tampa. Trident. Why couldn't I think of that? HFO Trident Southeast down in the Tampa area. So, no other questions. We've been at this. How long have we been at this? I feel like it's been longer than an hour. We've been at this for an hour. So, with no further questions, it's not what you guys know, it's who you know. And you all know Fusion Phil over here at CAD-CAM. And we're here to support you guys, regardless of if you buy Autodesk software from us, or you have our support memberships. It's why we host these free Friday sessions for us to all hang out and get a good laugh from time to time. In Mike's case, I'm quite impressed. He has done quite a bit here. And from what he said, he said it, Mike said, this is his first part and he watched my videos. That's the value that we get out of this. And this is what we love to see. But we're going to let you guys go back to it. It's Friday. It's a new year. I hope you guys are relaxing. Not too hungover still, but I will see you all back here Monday for Milling Monday, where we are going to cover anything and everything in the facing toolpath. So with that, have a great weekend. Trying to think what else we got. What else do we got on the list? Great weekend, Milling Monday, Milling Tuesday. We're going to be back for Free Support Friday. Let me know in chat, guys. Leave me a comment. I think we're going to bring back and we're going to do the turbine impeller again because it is one of my most watched videos from last year. So have a good one, guys. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, comment, all the above.